Luke Wijayasinha-Gray and Luke J.S, the writer-directors of Your Love Is Mine. Woo! All good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
So look, first up, could you tell us a little bit about, your background as how you got to know each other and how you sort of started working together, your background in filmmaking?
Yeah, sure. So I am also a musician, and when I moved to Melbourne from Darwin in the Northern Territory where I grew up, I met Luke, and he was going to make a music video for my band. Long story short, the band split up. We stayed mates and made a film together.
So how did this crazy concept come about? Did you write the script from scratch, or did one of you have the story and then you scripted together? How did the collaboration work as writers?
So I had a stage play that I was trying to get off the ground back in Darwin, which this is really loosely based on.
What was that called?
It was called The Clockwork Girl. So it was much more like fantasy, kind of Guillermo del Toro vibes. But yeah, this thing, we wrote it completely from scratch, really super loosely based on the play.
The short film. It was going to be a short film first, and then we made it into a feature.
Yeah. And of course, it's as you've told me, it's got a curious history in terms of the titles.
Yeah.
Take me through the process of the title changes.
So we're both really bad at naming things. I just had a daughter and think of a name.
Daughter's good.
Yeah, daughter. That's what we went with. Yeah, so we. I don't even know how did we settle on this name. We went through.
It was the death of a butterfly, then Deathless, then I Did This Because I Love You, and then Your Love Is Mine.
Your Love Is Mine, yeah.
Which was taken from the song.
Yeah.
Because you connected to the song.
Yeah.
And was it always going to be, the song was going to be in the film, or?
That song was in the film for quite a while. It was a while before we thought that the title could be a good title, but we felt like instead of kind of focusing on the death kind of component, that title played more into just the possessive love, kind of not letting go of someone sort of vibes.
It's interesting because as a title separate from the film, it has a very sort of innocent context or meaning, but once you've seen the film, it becomes a lot darker, doesn't it?
Sure, yeah.
In terms of the look and the vibe of the film, were there any kind of films or filmmakers that you guys took influence from or inspiration from?
Yeah, for me, there's this director called Direction France. Two of his films, Blue Valentine and both of us love The Place Beyond the Pines. Also, Michel Gondry's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Candy. Neil Armfield's Aussie movie, 2006, I think.
Yeah.
Luke really, when we were making this film, was talking a lot about this British director.
Mike Lee.
Yeah, like with sort of like really super quiet slice of life sort of stuff. Yeah.
I love the use of the extreme close-up that you use predominantly through the film. Was that a design from early on that you were going to do that?
Yeah, I always knew he was going to shoot it like that.
Because your background is in cinematography.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And with those Mike Lee films and those 80s like character-focused films, a lot of them are shot real close, and I love how it does help to tell. It reveals the subtext behind the scene sometimes with what's going on in the eyes, as opposed to what they're actually saying.
And you don't see a lot of it these days, so it feels really fresh in a way.
Yeah, I feel like it was phased out about 10, 15 years ago. But yeah.
So tell us about your terrific two leads. Like, how did you find them? Was there a lengthy audition process to find them?
Yeah. So the first person we cast was Sini, who plays Violet. We did an open casting call on Star Now, and we got way too many applications. We got like 600 people applied for that role or something. So we realised.
Why do you think that was?
I think they really liked the concept, because we had a brief sort of synopsis up, and everyone was saying that this sounds perfect for them and all sorts of stuff.
So we cast Sini first, and then it was a bit of a longer time to cast Sam. We initially had a kind of well-known actor who was sort of interested in playing him. We were negotiating with his agent for like 6 months, and then just before we were going to Skype him to chat about it, he got a kind of bigger, he got some bigger parts, got a bigger agent, and she was like, but we were really happy with Lester.
We'd settled on somebody else as well, just before we cast Lester. We'd had somebody else, and we pretty much settled on him, and then but there was something missing about, he wasn't sort of delivering a darkness that Lester does. And so we said that if we don't find anybody else, we'll go with him, but then we found Lester, and then that happened within a week, so
Yeah. No, they're terrific performances. They really pull you in into their relationship.
I just want to mention as well, one of the actors that we really loved in this film, Gary Wall, who plays Violet's father, he unfortunately passed away before the screening. So we wish he could be to see it.
Yeah. Now, look, I happen to know that the original cut of this film was about 3 hours long. Tell us how you shaped it down to what it is, which is just over 80 minutes. What stuff you cut out? Why did you cut so much out of the narrative to end up with the version that you've got?
All of the supporting characters had their own story arcs they took about 20 minutes of the screen time, and we felt like it was sort of pulling focus too much away from Violet and Sam, and was maybe feeling a bit more like a TV series, because everybody, like Joe and Nancy, had a whole story arc about their the potatoes and all that sort of stuff. So we really wanted to keep them all in, but the only way to do that was to condense it all down to like 1 or 2 scenes each, because from the feedback we got, it was too distracting, really.
Yeah, there was a whole flashback thing that ended up going in the film, in the sort of the TV show within the movie. That was taken from the stuff we cut out. But and in the end, we just felt like it was just way too long, and it might put people to sleep, and it looks like it still did.
So, there's obviously it's a hybrid. There's a drama, there's a relationship drama going on. There's this romance that obviously goes very dark. There's this horror, obviously, plot twist that no one sees coming, and of course there's essentially this sort of marries into this dark fantasy. So and that dark fantasy element of the film, I know you told me how when you had your cast and crew screening, there were some of them that interpreted the film changing what it does from that when that thing happens, which I guess we can talk about because we've all seen the film, when he makes that decision to reanimate her, and it's a huge change, and suddenly the film becomes something else, and this macabre element. Tell us a little bit about some of those interpretation, the way people have sort of seen it's like, well, the second half of the film actually is really sort of happening inside his head, and she's gone.
Well, it's metaphorical, and that's what we think, that when you see her get ready and ride away with her motorbike, that's her dumping him, and his interpretation of that is that she's died. So what you're seeing is him trying to deal with her, like dumping him. That's a lot of people aren't picking up on that, but a lot of people are too. So
we sort of see it as a really long, strange breakup movie.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I was confused about, so did she actually die, and he reinvented her in his mind, or, I was confused about what actually happened.
Yeah, so that's basically what's open to interpretation. We have our theory of what we wanted to say with it, but a lot of our, as Bryn said, when we had a cast and crew screening, we realised that a lot of people just took it at face value, which is it's a resurrection story, which we knew that it would come across that way as well.
Yeah.
And we kind of liked that it would be a bit open-ended.
So how did you interpret it? What was your interpretation?
We think that she dumped him, because that's what she was always going to do, and then she rode off into the sunset and did her thing, and then he had to deal with the consequences of that, and to him he sees that as like a grief.
So he sort of killed her off in his mind.
Yeah, he had to in the end, but I think he had to realize, understand why she dumped him in the first place, and that's what the whole thing of him figuring out. What did you love about me seeing?
It's all a one big metaphor for the central themes: loss and denial, really.
It is very melancholy. There's a really strong melancholy that runs through the film. Was it autobiographical in any way? Like you guys sort of
A little
put
bit,
in a heartbreak or loss, grief, break up? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, there was definitely like a little bit of us both, put like, Luke at one point reanimated someone with a motorbike.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd put a nod to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you also told me that whole sequence was a much more elaborate and graphic sequence. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We just had a body, so we had two makeup artists come in and do a full body cast with him. Like, it was based on mortuary pictures, so it became super disgusting, which we didn't realise at the time, but when we were shooting it, we realised that we were going to have an overhead shot of him putting the engine inside her, and we realised that that's just too much. It looked pretty gross.
Yeah, we didn't want it to feel like a super disgusting. Really,
we weren't trying to make it.
I want to see that version.
It might be too much for the story, but not too much for this festival.
Yeah.
Director's cut. Oh no, maybe that was.
Yeah.
Or bonus footage on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even though what you still see, though, I think it's still a really powerful sequence in the film.
Cool.
Now, tell me, you shot this film back in 2017. Yeah. That's 5 years ago. I'm curious why it's taken so long for everyone to see it.
Yeah. So there's a few answers to that question. One is that Luke Stringer is a one-man production and post-production facility. He shot the film. We edited together, but it was him doing the technical stuff. He did the sound, the color grading. So one person doing all that work is a lot. The other part of the answer to that question is COVID. So we had a cast and crew screening, the first rough cut in 2019, and then COVID hit. And it kind of just sucked a lot of urgency out of when our festival's going to be on again. Everyone's life got thrown a little bit into disarray.
I think we sort of lost interest a little bit in it, to be fair, as well.
Yeah.
And was sort of questioning what we were doing, why we were doing it, and all that.
Mm.
Was it finished? It was finished that one. You'd shown.
We'd done a cast and crew screening. So we had about a 1 hour, 45-minute version of it, and it was a rough version. But we were happy with it. But I don't know. It was, we were just figuring out how to go forward with it.
And so, what brought you to the point of like, okay, I think it's really we need to submit this to festivals and.
I think honestly, like us both coming out of COVID, I'm not going to speak for Luke, but for me, COVID was super, super hard. I'm sure a lot of people as well. I nearly got divorced. I didn't, and I've got a kid now, so it's okay. But it was, it was super derailing. It was like a year and a half lost. practically. And then coming out of it, I felt like this kind of renewed, oh, we've got this film we made, and you know, there's still something that it deserves to be released.
Yeah. Well, I hope. I mean, obviously, this is the beginning of hopefully a strong festival circuit, and you know, are you likely to kind of do something similar in that sense of like hybrid kind of genre stuff? Or do you have, what do you have?
You mean coming up for?
Yeah. Like, is it, you know, are you likely to be wanting to start on something new?
Yeah.
Stay collaborating, you know.
Yeah, we definitely want to collaborate again. We're both actually working on our own things separately. My next film is it's about a serial killer in Melbourne, but it's got this kind of weird meta I call it Promising Young Woman meets Being John Malkovich. Luke's going to shoot it. He's working on his own thing as well. But then we definitely want to create something from scratch again. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm.
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience?
Yeah. I really loved it. Congratulations, guys.
Thanks, Sylvia.
Can you talk a little bit about, and I've asked you a little bit, but the co-directing, because I've thought about it, I've been approached to maybe do it, and I've always thought, oh gosh, it's gotta be so challenging. I know you guys are good friends and you seem well equipped to kind of work together, but what were the challenges? Like, were there any times on set or in the writing, or, you know, how did you always agree?
Most of the time?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. There was definitely, you know, we had our moments. But then, you know, for me it was like, I kept reminding myself of what Luke had done, you know, reanimating someone. I thought I better agree with him. Joking. No, I think it's been like 50-50.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I'm just trying to. Yeah. No, it was. It was definitely 50-50, and I think because we were both learning at the same time as well, we were both making mistakes, so we kind of forgave each other when we did make mistakes, because it wasn't like one was more experienced. We were both kind of figuring it out as we went along. So yeah.
I think being friends helps a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd, you know, be on set looking at the monitor. We'd sometimes walk away from the cast and the rest of the crew and be talking about everything together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed working with Luke.
Awesome. Well, look, that's kind of really all the time we have. Unfortunately, we're a bit under pressure. But I want to thank you for doing this Q&A, and it's been an absolute pleasure screening the film. Part of the vision that I've been bringing to the festival is showing films that aren't conventional horror films, but tackle stuff that's tonally or thematically or stylistically that captures some of the broader realms of what I kind of call nightmare movies or whatever. So this certainly ticks those boxes for me, and I hope you guys got something out of it, and in that sense, not something that you'd normally see in a horror film festival. But I just love the fact that you guys tackled something in such a unique and original way. So
Thank you.
congratulations. And if you're hanging around, we've got Zebra Girl closing session happening in just over